Commission meeting on January 10th, 2024. It is in person and also on Walpole Media. Our first hearing, notice of intent, Conservation Commission public hearing in accordance with Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 131, Section 40, Wetlands Protection Act, Walpole Wetlands Protection Bylaw. Notice hereby given the intent, John and Ellen Serhant, 410 North Street, map 17, lot 71, Walpole, Mass., to construct a proposed driveway within the 100-foot buffer zone. The notice of intent, application, and plans are filed at the Conservation Commission office. Public hearing on the above matter will be held in person on September 13th, 2023, beginning at 7:30 p.m. All interested persons request to be present. Hearing's been opened and continued. We have a letter from Mr. Serhant dated.
That's the old request to
The old one.
continue. Jack, that's the old one.
This is the old one. We have
First one.
we
Yeah,
have
I
another
would-
one.
I would continue it to February 14th.
Do we have a formal request from them or
They
not?
did email.
Oh, okay. So we've had an email request from the applicant to continue the hearing. So we'll continue this until February, what's our meetings in February?
February 14th.
February 14th at 7 PM. Someone make that a motion?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed, abstained, 700. Okay, thank you. Our next item on the agenda is executive session. So for those who are here, if you want to go out in the hall, I don't anticipate this to be extremely long, but we will let
Everybody?
you know. Everybody,
We're asking you to
yeah.
leave, folks.
Yeah,
Be right back.
Short game.
if we had a concession stand, we could open it up, but we don't.
There you go.
Okay,
Look in the mail room. You should be.
do we have,
Kids would be great entertainment, too.
do we have anything to?
silence. I've heard of it before.
Where'd I hear it from?
What's our next one?
I've heard the saying, I don't know what it's
That's,
from.
I don't know where it's from.
Get Smart. It's a show called Get Smart.
Yes, smart.
He was a secret agent.
I don't, but I'm like,
Way before Get Smart.
I've got this one.
Oh, you have it, okay. No, we're good.
Bet. Let's hope it's not your project. I'm just kidding.
Okay?
Phew.
Thank you all for your patience. Sorry it took as long as it did, but we had something to go over. Okay, this is, thank you. We're now back in session on our regular meeting. Just as a reminder, we'll have a presentation after the notice is read from the applicant, and then we'll go through the commission, and if there's anybody in the audience who has any questions or comments, we ask you to identify yourself for the record, and also go up to the microphone before you start speaking. This is on the Walpole Media TV. So, okay.
There's a sign-in sheet on the desk. Everyone should sign in.
Oh, yeah, and also sign in when you go up to speak. Thank you. Town of Walpole, Commonwealth of Massachusetts, Conservation Commission request for determination of applicability in accordance with Massachusetts general laws. Chapter 131, Section 40 of the Wetlands Protection Act, Walpole Wetlands Protection Bylaw. Richard Sullivan is hereby requesting determination of applicability to determine if an outside storage area is jurisdictional. Activity is located at 295 Union Street, map 21, lot 14 in Walpole, Mass. Plans for this request for determination of applicability are on file at the Conservation Commission office. Public hearing on the above matter will be held in person, January 10th, 2023, beginning 7:15 p.m. All interested person requested to be present. And representing the applicant,
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Shane Oates with Independence Engineering out of Raynham, Massachusetts. I'm here representing Richard Sullivan from SRS Distribution. And the project site is 295 Union Street, which was in front of you probably about 18 months ago from the building owner and another consulting engineer. They did a wide variety of parking improvements. They repaved, restriped the majority of the site at 295 Union Street, and they added some drainage as well. So now we have a tenant that is in there. They are a pool supply distribution company. They've been occupying the building now for a few months. They're a wholesaler, so it's not a retail operation. It's very busy. And as part of their process after they open and find out things are gonna be operating smoothly, they utilize outdoor storage, typically, for a lot of their supplies. So we're here this evening, we submitted an RDA, just to let the commission know, and get their take on outdoor storage with enclosed, security fencing. The area of the site that we're going to utilize for outdoor storage is west of the existing building. It's the second building, the long rectangular building in the back. It's 60,000 square feet total. The current tenant in there occupies about half of the building. So in this new parking area right here, just to the west of the building, that's our proposed outdoor storage, and it will be enclosed with a sliding mechanical chain link fence gate, and then there'll be new fencing put right around the perimeter of the parking area itself. There are some existing do not disturb markers along the existing buffer as well already. We're not gonna be anywhere near that. The fence will probably be 2 to 3 feet off the existing edge of pavement. And that's really the entire scope of the project right now. If the commission has any questions, happy to answer.
okay, Landis?
So can you just point out, the plan from the start, just point out the area where the
So
storage is
here's
sitting?
the existing building out front. This is Union Street right here. Runs east and west. Here's the larger rectangular building. This is basically the extent of the pool supply tenant right here. It's about half the building, plus or minus 30,000 square feet. And then to the west, so what we've done on this survey is we've just isolated this area. So this parking area to the west is what will be utilized for storage. Here's a proposed gate. There's still plenty of parking. The entire site has over 400 parking spaces.
So So my main question, given actually driving out there today,
Yeah,
so the way the stormwater works on this site is it sheet flows from
Yeah.
the parking lot to that corner
right here.
there, right?
Yeah.
So nothing that's stored outside should obstruct the flow of the stormwater to get to that basin,
Sure,
nor should it be picking anything up along the way that goes into that basin and then goes into Chapel Brook.
sure.
Those, I think, are the main features.
Yeah, so basically the storage, they're on there's nothing directly on the ground. They're on pallets or outdoor racks, so no chemicals, nothing like that. They cover everything. And none of the sheet flow will be interrupted by any means. Okay.
Nor the fencing.
Correct,
Stormwater.
around the basin, right. Yeah, we're gonna tie into the existing fence there and then pick it up over here and just run the perimeter around. Okay, none of the existing drainage would be disturbed whatsoever.
That would be my,
Yeah, it's probably more benign than having vehicles parked in there, honestly.
Anything else, Les? Okay. Dean?
What's the installation method of the fence? Just gonna drive them?
Yeah, they'll just be driven poles, 5-6 feet on center.
And no chemicals, right?
No, sir.
Okay. No other questions, thank you.
Bailey?
No questions?
Doug?
I think I heard you mention that there's currently 400 parking spaces here. I'm looking at this drawing and it doesn't
Yes.
look like that.
So we just show the portion of the site where we're storing. I can show you, this was the site plan that was approved in 2022. So you can see,
Oh.
and you can circulate this
Okay.
plan, so I didn't have a full size, but yeah, there's about 400 parking spaces total on the site, 200 are required. So this won't interrupt any of the required
Okay.
parking.
Okay. And the impervious surfaces don't change with this
Absolutely
plan. That's my only question.
Emilio? Al?
Okay, you say in this outside storage area, that there'll be no chemicals. Where are the chemicals gonna be?
Chemicals are stored inside. Right now, they're on a TCO, so there's no chemicals on site. They will have to have a approved chemical room. We're working with the building department on that. But it'll all be inside.
That's all I'm concerned about.
No comment?
What is actually going to be stored outside?
So it's basically pool supplies type things, materials for decking, actual, for liners and things like that, and they'll all be enclosed. Nothing's gonna be open. They're gonna be all in their original containers or boxes. So it's a pool supply warehouse, so.
Yeah, when you think of pool supplies, you think it's going to be something related to chemicals or
Yeah.
other things that could be, particularly with the effluent, the discharge from here flows into Trap Hole Brook, which,
Yeah.
as you know, is a cold
There's
water
absolutely
fishery.
No chemical storage outside. We've
Okay.
already been working with the building department, and they've been pretty adamant about that
Okay.
as well. It's gonna have to be in a chemical room
Yeah.
inside the building.
Okay. Okay. Anyone in the audience have any questions or comments, please identify yourself for the record and come up to the microphone. Anyone, questions, comments? Okay. Hearing none, so we'll make a motion to close the hearing.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed, abstains, 700. Okay, this is for,
Determination of
I think the main thing we want is that, under any conditions or no conditions will chemicals be stored outside. I think we could add or
nor obstruction. of
Or
the-
obstruction to the stormwater flow.
Will there be signage about not storing chemicals in that area?
With appropriate signage. That no
Yeah, we
chemical
can put
storage
signage
allowed.
along the interior of the fencing, so that all the employees understand that.
Yeah, right,
The signage
And-
being,
No chemical
no
storage
chemical storage
permitted?
in this area. Also for delivery people, if there's a handy place to drop stuff. Okay, anything else? All right, so we make that a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, the same, 700. Is there anything else we need? That's good, thank you.
Thanks, you too.
No, this is not it. No, this is not it. Oh, okay. Oh, okay.
Is this,
That's the RDA.
all the
signature
same thing?
pages.
Okay.
Do you see this from?
Do it that way, West Street.
Sharing is caring.
It is.
Is it-
You got the signature.
Oh,
Town of Walpole, Commonwealth, of Massachusetts Conservation Commission request to amend land disturbance permit order of conditions in accordance with stormwater and erosion control bylaw and the Wetlands Protection Act and the Wetland Protection Bylaw. Notice is hereby given in the intent of MF Landscaping and Design LLC to request an amendment to a land disturbance permit and order of conditions DP number 315-1259 for additional site development for nursery on map 38 lots 51 and 56 located at 1049 West Street. Plans are filed to Conservation Commission Office. Public hearing in the above matter will be held in person January 10th, 2024, beginning at 7:30 PM. All interested person requests to be present. Okay. So, representing the applicant,
Good evening. For the record, I'm Scott Henderson of Henderson Consulting Services. I'm the project civil engineer for MF Nursery. Next to me is Michael Freiberger, the owner of the property and applicant. I believe Mike presented before you, or at least spoke before you at your last hearing, following an enforcement order issued by Landis regarding some additional work done on the MF Nursery site, now addressed 1049 West Street, formerly 965 West. There was some additional clearing done beyond the limit of work that was approved under that original land disturbance permit and that notice of intent. Some of that was within jurisdictional buffer zone to wetland resources, including 2 areas that were within the 25-foot no disturb zone. There are storage bins located at the east edge of the project. Those were shifted back compared to the original plan. And when Eversource came in to install electric service, Mike was asked to put in an access road behind those bins. He did clearing to do so. Again, that was within jurisdictional area and wasn't picked up or approved prior to that work being done. I think there were some conversations about it, but a misunderstanding on whether or not that would be a temporary road or not. Also, if you recall, the access to the nursery required 2 wetland crossings for the roadway to get into the back of the site. That required wetland disturbance and therefore replication. There's a replication area. You'll see that's hatched just to the north of an existing wetland pocket on the left side of the road, the west side going in. What was missed by Mike in doing some additional clearing in that area is that a wetland replication area becomes a wetland, therefore has a buffer zone. And so there's some work done there that was not permitted. And then outside of buffer zones near the building structure at the very north end of the site, you'll see there's a line that's labeled with the existing or approved limit of clearing, and then some clearing that went beyond that. From a practical standpoint, stormwater management, things like that, it doesn't have a notable impact. Those areas are permeable and/or drain into the drainage basin that was oversized at the outset of the project, just as a safety factor. So we wanted to come to you and make sure that we show that we're making some progress toward addressing that. I still need to get Carl Balduff, the town engineer, to review those changes relative to stormwater management. But at present time, all cleared areas are either stabilized or, surrounded by erosion controls that have been maintained by Mike throughout the duration of the project. I think Landis and I had talked a little bit about I made a site visit, Landis did as well. It seems like everything's in place and stable, so we're not looking at an immediate issue with that additional work causing impact, adverse impact to any of those wetland resource areas. The second aspect of the plan set in front of you is that Mike has acquired 2 additional parcels located to the west of the nursery site that was permitted under the original notice of intent and land disturbance permit application. You'll see those here. They're on the top left of the plan. Map 38, lots 56 and 51. There's a significant wetland pocket along the west side of the further lot and then along the south of both lots. But a good portion of the site that's hatched here on the plan is all upland. You'll see a heavy blue dashed line, that's the 100-foot buffer zone, a red dashed line, that's the 25-foot no disturb. There was some clearing done, access way from the original site into that that area. It was intended to be fully out of the 100-foot buffer zone. Mike had thought that if he did less than an acre of clearing, it's a new piece of property, that it wouldn't necessarily require a land disturbance permit at this time. He was directed otherwise, that because it's sort of part of the overall project, that he had to stop. Since receiving that cease and desist, he has. Erosion controls are in place along the perimeter of all of that cleared area, and the vast majority of it, with the exception of a very small section, is outside even the 100-foot buffer zone. So the plan that's before you now, if you can scroll to the third sheet, or fourth sheet, sorry. So this encompasses the new lots. And what we've done tonight is reopen the public hearing for the original land disturbance permit and notice of intent for 1049 West Street. Now, we need some direction from the commission as to whether whether you'd prefer to have separate permit applications filed for this, and therefore these two parcels would have separate land disturbance permits and notices of intent, than that's currently underway for 1049 West Street. We can do that, and we can have sort of two hearings sort of back to back about those. But the thought now is that this land is going to be utilized as part of the operation of the nursery, and therefore it might make sense to just reopen the public hearing and include this area as part of the project. So that's one question. The plan itself shows sort of in general what Mike wants to do, which is going to have to be discussed, in terms of its compliance with the Wetlands Protection Act and the land disturbance regs. That area is intended to be cleared all the way up to the 25-foot no disturb zone. It will be utilized for storing nursery stock, growing nursery stock, storing brush piles, stumps, things like that, loam that will then be screened and resold, typical practices as part of a nursery. You'll see on the bottom right-hand corner of the plan here, you'll see a septic system. Mike is currently constructing the building that was approved on the main parcel, and the best soil conditions for the septic are located there. So we'd like to construct that soil absorption system on this new parcel. And then at the very northwest edge of the property and limit of clearing, you'll see a fairly substantial drainage basin there. Clearing the wooded area requires mitigating that stormwater impact. You know, the basin here is sized to be able to handle everything up to and including the 100-year storm and meet all required stormwater management standards. Again, I have not had a full review of that, of stormwater calculations with Carl yet. We wanted to put a plan together as quickly as we could to show the commission that following this enforcement order, that we're making progress toward mitigating those things. So that's sort of the overall scope of the project. I can open it up to questions, which I'm sure the commission has.
Landis?
Yep, I think Scott Henderson went through the issues pretty well. So what was advertised was an amendment to the existing order of conditions and land disturbance permit, and, seems like, I thought what you filed, you wanted everything to be amended to the existing order of conditions under this public hearing. It sounds like.
That's what I prefer, but I got an email from you
I did.
the other day. I guess technically it's up to the commission, you know?
So-
There's two perspectives. Do you want a new permit, or do you want to amend the
So
old
after your
completely?
filing came in and reviewing what you had filed, that one being the order of conditions for the original project just referenced that lot
Okay,
under 965 West Street. Then what you filed additional stuff, which included two new
two new
lots
parcels, yeah.
and a different address. As well as you've already said, there wasn't enough information. You need to file a stormwater management with Concom, and then town engineer reviews it.
Yeah, you know,
So-
understood,
Right,
understood,
so we
yeah.
didn't get any of that information either. And then the more I started to look at it, questions, there's gonna be a nursery, so where are the plants going? You said it would be cleared, is there gonna be grading? There just was an abundance of questions also that were arising, watering, fertilizing, are there gonna be rows of plants? Is there gonna be parking? I've heard discussions with other department heads that there may be parking. Where is the parking going? So it seems to be developing a little bit more than what
Yeah.
was filed.
I-
And because it's, my memo to you, which is in my report to the commission, what I was recommending to them is I think it may warrant a second notice of intent for the two parcels and the actual nursery on the two parcels.
Yes.
And then tonight, they can review, you know, they may want to just review amending the original order of conditions with the activity that has occurred on the original
On the
lot.
original parcel. That makes sense. It's understood. Again, you know, these plans are, you could say that they're not fully baked. I think it represents in general what we're doing. Again, it was a 2-week period to produce plans, and we wanted to show progress toward addressing the concerns on both the original lot and this one. So that's why we're here. You know, we can decide what to do with the two new parcels, and if that's a new application, we'll come in with a plan set, you know, a little more developed and effectively similar to this, but with the paperwork filed for that.
Because it's two new lots, it's not necessarily two order of conditions on the same project, because it's two new lots. And if you read the DP policy for amendment, it's really for more minor stuff. and
Minor stuff
A lot
there.
of more work on two new lots.
Okay.
That's why I'm recommending that.
Okay. Anything else, Landis?
No, that's it.
Dean?
Questions?
Bailey?
Just to clarify, we're not commenting on the two new lots, just the,
Well, it's up, right, sorry, Jack.
Right.
There's sort of a couple issues that I think
We have
guys
two
should-
issues. One, I think we should, as we're going through, address the, on the original order, whether the information presented as what has been done would be basically an amendment to that order, to the original order, and whether we should have a separate order based on lots 51 and 56.
okay.
So I think we need to kind of answer both questions as we're going through, how each individual feels about
So you wanna
those
take-
two questions.
You want to take the first
So,
question.
I think we can address each one as we go through each person. Dean, did you want to amend anything, have anything to say on, basically on the two issues?
No.
Do you have a preference?
I prefer that we split it, the land
Okay.
disturbance.
Okay. All right.
Is that me? No. Yeah, no, mine's on.
Yeah. Okay, Bailey?
I agree with what you said.
Okay, so no
No comments,
concerns
no-
with what has been done on the original order, that is, what's shown is adequate.
There's,
I
When
think
he-
this is,
there's a,
we've had some changes from the original order.
yeah,
So this would be
Go back to
considered an
the original
amendment
plan,
to the original order with these modifications?
Well, yeah,
Yeah, okay, so basically we've got
Sort of decided.
modifications, do we agree with the modifications to the original order? And do we want to separate out parcels, lots 51 and 56?
well, the second one's easier to answer. I
Yeah.
vote in separating out.
Okay,
First one, where the applicant's within the 25-foot border, right around, I don't know, close to the end of the drive.
right,
It'd be great if he could maybe get out of that.
where are you?
Up probably the first page.
Yeah, first page, the first one of four, and right with the expanded limit of clearing on parcel 3857, kind of points to a little,
Just that, where the utilities were put in,
no.
behind the
here.
bins?
Utility road, the road.
Right
That
near the
behind
road.
those-
I don't know what's there.
The existing storage bins? Is that where we're
Yeah,
talking
that
at?
would be nice to move those where they
This.
originally had it,
Oh,
but right
this.
here,
Right here,
Yeah.
okay.
that's what I was thinking.
This area, right here? You're talking about, so that there's that.
near the
Yeah.
replication area.
Yeah,
Yes,
Yes,
Yes.
okay.
so what do you want to do there, Bailey?
So what we have labeled there, and we can do a call out here to remediate that. So again, that was a wetland replication area. So the buffer zone moved and the replication was made. Mike looked at the old
Scott.
plans.
You have to talk to the microphone, if you wouldn't mind, please, thanks.
Is that close enough? Can you hear me?
You probably want to hold it up.
So the original plan didn't have a buffer zone in that area because of the replication. And so when Mike was looking at that area, he thought, excuse me. However, there's a significant amount of expansion of wetland, I'd say about 85 plus linear feet in that direction. So what was just at the fringes of a 100-foot buffer zone is now inside the 25-foot. Mike leveled that area out, and it's just sort of a compacted gravel area, and there's a riprap slope just between the edge of the replication area and the top of that slope. Mike is going to deconstruct that. So he's going to pull that out. He's going to regrade it so that it's at maximum 3-to-1, but I think it's going to wind up being closer to 4-to-1 slope, so fairly easy to stabilize, and replanted with natural upland plantings. So anywhere within the 25-foot buffer zone that we've labeled on the plan here that Mike is encroached in, he's going to pull out whatever's in there and rehab it as best he can. So
Thank you. No
That
other-
cover it?
thank
All
you.
right, Doug?
No questions at this time.
Okay, and as far as splitting the two, you in favor of splitting off in the separate filing for lot 56 and 51?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Medio?
Yeah, I agree the same, that the two lots should be
Okay.
doubled separately in the
Okay.
existing, yeah.
Al?
Okay, on the sheet 4, it shows a retention basin, a stormwater basin, but doesn't show roadways, how to get to it. I think that's missing from the proposal here. How do you get to it and do the work out there? But aside from that, I want to see those two lots dealt with as a separate filing.
Okay. That's it.
All right, I agree with that, separate filing. But I have a question. It sounds like the amendment is being continued tonight too, because you need to run some things by the town engineer. So we're not really concluding anything tonight?
Well, I guess,
Except for separate filing?
I guess, so in terms of what's shown on the original site, I mean, we've called out what we intend to do in terms of rehabilitating the areas that were cleared without permission.
But what were you gonna do with the town engineer that was gonna hold things?
I was speaking about the other two lots.
Oh, okay.
Right,
Oh,
so
oh.
if it's gonna be a separate filing, then I guess we can just stop the discussion on that altogether, and you'll see a full design package filing with separate permit application information.
Okay.
And we could talk about that then,
So, all right, so if we're talking about just the first parcel then, so it was in fact a temporary road for the utilities, right? Or is it not?
It's not, it's permanent.
It's
That was the
permanent.
misunderstanding, I think, that Mike believed he had permission for that to go in.
Well, I thought, I heard it called temporary, but no.
They want access.
Yeah, so because there's utility poles there, it's not an underground service, it's overhead, and it's a primary line. They show up and, you know, Eversource, you know, you give them what they ask for, otherwise they disappear. And so it was a 12 to 15-foot wide, compacted, crushed stone roadway. It's not paved, it's permeable, it's fairly level, it drains, in general toward the drain basin that's on the site, a portion as you get closer to the wetland pocket that's near there, it drains in that direction, but again, it's permeable, so there's no increase in impervious area in that area. Yeah, and Mike did, sort of at the edge of that, plant that buffer along the edge. A small section, he thought he was 25 feet from sort of the closest point of the wetland there. You'll see on sheet 3. Again, he's gonna rip all that out and replant it, so.
Oh, no other questions, right?
Okay. All right, so you're gonna remove the stone in that small area. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, well, a survey
They
go
can-
out there, locate
yeah.
that line, and from that point,
And they can still get their trucks through.
pull that out. It's good enough for them,
Yeah.
Bill.
I think that would be sufficient. I know I spoke with Mike about the situation with Eversource requiring access to that, so, all right. So I think the situation then is you will file separately for lots 56 and 51.
Correct.
And include what's going on with that, because I think that's a big issue of what is going to be going on, as Landis brought up, parking, how you're going to have, what's going to go on in that area, fertilizers, if you
Yeah,
do
we'll-
any of
we'll
that.
come back
So we
with more
need a
detail.
complete
Yeah.
detail of what is going to happen in that, in those two lots.
For what it's worth, there
So-
will be no parking on that,
And I
that
think
lot.
that it's, the consensus is that the, what you've shown here for revisions on the original plan would be suitable as an amendment to the original filing. So, anyone in the audience have any questions or comments? Please identify yourself for the record. Okay, hearing none. So we need a motion to accept the Lot 57 as amendments to the original order. Someone make that a motion?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed, 700. And that we would expect separate filing with with all the necessary details for lots 51 and 56. Someone make that a motion?
Second.
Okay, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
700. Thank you.
All right, we'll see you soon, thank you.
Okay. Do we have anything else to do? Okay.
Yeah.
This is just for the amendment, is that right? This,
Yeah, it is.
okay.
Do they have the plan?
Town of Walpole, Commonwealth of Massachusetts, Conservation Commission, Land Disturbance Permit.
Was sitting right
Oh, you
here.
have it, yeah.
Yeah.
Fantastic, yeah, you got it.
In accordance with Walpole Stormwater and Erosion Control Bylaw and regulations, notice provide given intent of Kearsarge Walpole LLC to file a land disturbance permit application for tree clearing, regrading, road access, and infiltration basin on 299,000 plus acres located at 1377 North Street. Plans, excuse me, plans are on file at the Conservation Commission office. Public hearing, the above matter will be held in person on January 10th, 2024, beginning 7:45 PM. All interested person requested to be present. Okay. Representing the applicant. Before we start, I didn't see there are a number of people here. We'll go through the applicant's presentation, then we'll go through the board. We'll leave it open to questions from the audience. If you have a question, please come up to the microphone, sign in, and you just speak at the microphone. This is on community TV. So, thank you, go ahead.
Okay, thank you. Hi, everyone. Rob Bukowski, Westland Sampson, representing Kearsarge. So, as the chair mentioned, this is at 1377 North Street. We're here in front of you tonight to present about our land disturbance permit application. This is a proposed 5-megawatt AC solar PV array. The overall development area is about 17.5 acres of the 54.2 acre site. There is minimal tree clearing associated with the project, about 1.5 acres, which is limited to inside the existing agricultural field at the site. There is some grading that we need to do in the southwestern portion of the site in order to meet the racking system tolerances. There's about 6.8 acres of grading, so of the 17.5 acre development, only about 7 or 8 acres total will be disturbed. The stormwater analysis that was included includes 2 infiltration basins. For pretreatment, we included vegetative filter strips. If you know the site, you know it's mainly grassed, so there's plenty of existing vegetation on site, and as I said, we're limiting the grading to preserve the majority of the site as existing vegetation. During the construction phase, we had proposed on the plans straw wattles downslope of any disturbance areas. I know Landis had a comment that we replaced those with compost socks, which we're completely fine with. We included with the submittal a stormwater report showing that we meet the Massachusetts stormwater standards for the different parameters, water quality, volume, peak rate attenuation. We previously have gone through site plan review through the planning board, and we received that approval in late November. And that process, as I'm sure you know, included receiving comments from different departments within town, including DPW, engineering, fire, sewer and water. Board of Health. So that's pretty much it in a nutshell. We did do some colored plans. I can hand these out if it's easier. Does anybody want these?
Is that the
Unfortunately,
sheet you're referring to? What number sheet is that you have up there?
C102.
Two?
Yeah. Unfortunately, the color scheme didn't print out as well on 11 by 17, but once those are handed out, I can kind of walk you through what we tried to highlight here. One of the things that I didn't mention, which is sort of critical, especially for Conservation Commission, is everything we're proposing is outside the 100-foot wetland buffer zone and the 200-foot riverfront zone. So if you look at this image, the westernmost area, which is the green color on this, that represents the wetlands area. There was an ANRAD that was done a year-ish ago. So those wetland lines have been set. And then as you move closer, the sort of more bluish color represents the tree line. And as I mentioned, the development area is within the fence, and that's all within the existing agricultural fields. If you move, excuse me, further to the east, the green that's shown at the bottom, those are the proposed infiltration basins. So as the topography shows, basically all the stormwater flows to the southwest and towards those basins. Access will be off of the existing driveway, that location off North Street.
Okay. Anything else that you want to present? Okay, Landis?
So yeah, just to clarify, this is an application for a land disturbance permit under our stormwater management residential bylaw and regulations. So can you explain a little more? So I know you got some of my initial questions being, one, you're gonna be filing a SWEP. Do you have a draft SWEP?
We don't at this point. So what we usually try to do is get the non-ministerial permits in place, and then the SWIP would be done. You know, as you know, we need to submit the ENOI 14 days before construction. That usually comes later. I mean, we're happy to provide a copy of the SWIP to you. It's just not, we haven't gotten that far yet, because we're trying to get all of our other permits first before we get that done.
Right, so part of the stormwater management and residential bylaw that all towns in Massachusetts, or a lot of towns in Massachusetts enacted due to the MS4 permit, was to actually have some of that discussed at the local level. So
Sure.
stormwater management during construction, we don't want to wait for the SWEP, which tends to be a very large document with lots of different scenarios and lots of different possibilities. We want you to show on a plan how you're going to manage stormwater during construction.
Sure. So
To the commission.
we did include a construction phase ENS control
Go
plan.
over that a little bit?
Yeah, sure.
Like, how much area are you gonna clear? Are you grading the whole site? Are you only grading part of the
No.
site? Maybe a little more detailed about
Yeah,
what you're
sure.
doing.
So, actually, you can really see it better on that image on the screen. If you, as far as like sequencing and construction, so the first step would be to put the compost socks in, which will go down grading of any of the disturbed areas still outside of the buffer zone and riverfront area, but, you know, sort of at the edge of the site. And then the tree clearing will be done following the construction of the access road to get into the site. And then the grading will be done. It's a fairly small area of the whole site. You can actually see it on the plan. If you look to the west side and the southwest side, where you see the dark lines there that are sort of kind of bunched together. So what we're doing is actually flattening out that southwestern slope a little bit so that the slopes can actually meet the tolerances that are required by the foundation and racking manufacturer.
So the only areas that you're going to be stripping the loam and grading are those darker areas?
That's right.
Where there's also some tree clearing?
There's, the tree clearing in the western part, there's some trees there. And that, just to clarify again, there's no tree clearing beyond the limits of the existing field. So we're not pushing the tree clearing further into the wooded area and closer to the wetlands.
In all the other areas, other than the dark areas, you're not stripping the loam,
Correct. That'll stay, that vegetation will stay as is.
even for the pads? I imagine.
Well, the equipment pads will, but that's a very small area, right off the access road. Yeah, so for that, the vegetation and topsoil will be removed. There'll be like a dense graded crushed stone, sort of structural fill placed, and then the concrete equipment pads will be poured there.
Do you anticipate, while you're constructing, you're going in there with machining to construct the pads and prepping the area for the pads? There's gonna be a fair amount of disturbance in that area, just in general.
It's not a lot. I mean, it's the thing with the pad is it's right next to the access road. So I don't think we're gonna be in a situation where, like say for the concrete truck, it's not gonna need to really go into the site very far. It's gonna maintain on that access road. So, I mean, compared to the other areas of grading, the pad areas are very small, and it'll be just limited excavations in those areas. And it's a fairly flat area as well.
And the access road is just the middle part there?
Yeah, it's the existing driveway off of North Street, and then it's just expanded a bit further. Yeah.
So don't you have to put pads for each of the cells?
No, so these will either be driven posts or ground screws. So there's 4 foundation posts per what we call table, which is like each rack of panels. So that's fairly low disturbance. They'll go in, and if it's driven piles, they'll just drive it in or screw it in, and they go by row. And then once the 4 foundations are put in, they'll come back, they'll put the racking on, and then they put the modules on, which is the actual panels, and then they wire everything together. You may be thinking, like, I don't know if you've seen any of these projects on landfills. Some of those require, like, larger, because for landfills, you can't drive anything in through the waste. So they're a block that's probably close to the size of this table, so. But there's none of that required for this project.
So we just the strip, so, the straw wattles, right, we want compost, commission wants
that's fine.
compost. And there was a gate that was located kind of where the square corner is on your plan, on the western side.
Yeah,
What's that for?
so there's a water easement that runs right through the site, which is, you can sort of see it. If you look at where the access road comes in, it's just to the south of that. And then in our process of going through planning board approval, we got comments from Sewer and Water Commission, and they required us to put 2 gates, one on the eastern side of the parcel, and then one on the western side of the parcel for that easement.
I have a question. So no one's pointing to anything. We're looking at a map, there's a map there, there's a map there, there's a map there, and they're slightly different colorations, and could someone point to where the gates are? In the old days, before we had so many electronics around, people would actually literally point to things.
Yeah, no, I can do it. So this is the easement right here. It's this line that kind of bisects.
I would never have guessed that from what you said.
This is the easement. right
So there's
here.
a
the
gate
gate.
right here
So the
on
gate-
the eastern side, and then there's a gate over here on the western side. And that was requested by Sewer and Water Commission so that they could, still have access, but have it gated off.
No, I'll just make one more comment, because I'm sure the commissioners really want to speak, and they don't want to just hear me. But the other kind of sticking point at this point, and we do have a letter from Chris Johnson, Assistant Town Engineer, regarding, so in our bylaw regulation, it does state very clearly that we need to have on-site soil evaluations in the area of stormwater basins. It also states that very clearly in the DEP Stormwater Handbook as well, that there should be 1 soil test for every 5,000 square feet, especially infiltration basins. So the information that I read over, you haven't done any on-site soil tests, you just went by the NRC soils.
Right, so the NRCS publishes a soil survey that gives you an idea of the soil type. So that's what we usually do our initial design based on. And like I was saying earlier, we're trying to move through the permitting process. So what we have been able to do on previous projects is get that added as a condition. And then prior to construction, we do the test pits, and we send one of our soil evaluators to evaluate, and certainly have the town, witness the test pits as well, and just confirm our assumptions. And if the test pit shows something different than what we assumed and what we based off the NRCS tables, then we have to do a design adjustment, which is usually
Right, I
pretty minor.
understand that that's happened in the past, but we haven't had good luck with that. So the assistant town engineer, as well as I am recommending that you do the soil test before closing the hearing. And that will be it for now.
Okay. Dean?
Yep. So you guys gonna be stripping all of the loam under all of the solar panels?
No.
Just in the grading areas? Are you gonna bring loam back? You gonna strip it, grade, then put the loam back?
The majority of the grading, well, there'll be some common fill, but yeah, the top area will be loam, because we need to establish vegetation.
Okay, so there will be grass between all of the.
Oh, yeah.
Okay,
Yep.
great, it won't just be riprap.
No, no.
All right, so the pads are gonna store large amount of batteries.
There's
Right.
battery storage
Yeah,
associated.
big battery storage.
Yeah, so
Do we have some sort of containment? Does WPA mention anything about battery storage containment for potential spills releases? I don't think so.
Do we
Will they be in
mention-
containment, the batteries?
So the batteries, the cells are all obviously individually contained. The batteries are then contained within a containment system, so a sealed, basically a shipping container is the typical format.
Yeah.
The fire suppression system is inside that, and so the systems are designed to be fully self-contained. Fire suppression is taken care of inside the structure itself. So it is a contained cell. And typically that is the containment vessel itself, the container.
Okay. The grading, are you gonna be bringing any material in, or is it all just,
No, we will. Yeah, the idea is to flatten that slope out, so we will need to bring some material in.
okay, where are you gonna stockpile the material? Typically, we like to see a plan of the stockpiling, where you're gonna stockpile, the phasing, you can put erosion controls around it.
Yeah, we can add that.
So, and then we also, I guess this is not, never mind, moving on. Okay, that's all the questions I have.
Bailey?
The gate at the end on the west side of the property, will that be locked?
Yes.
Okay. I might suggest a plaque, since it's right on the 100-foot buffer and walking into the 25, but I don't know. I'd also love to hear other people's comments. And the fence around the entire it's around the entire field, how tall is that?
7 feet.
7 feet, okay, thank you. And do you have a plan, I'm sorry if I didn't see it, for the plantings that are gonna go on the east side of the property?
We do, yeah. We included a detail
Did.
in the plan set, yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That's all.
Doug?
Related to that planting details, I assume they will be as high as the 7-foot fence, the plantings along the fence? Is that,
Sorry.
how big are these plants going to be, bushes?
Yeah, you know what, I've got to look and see what we specified in here.
So the species will be sized to exceed the 7-foot fence height, but the planted size will be based on, the arborist's estimation of what will be the most likely to survive. So it's probably not a fully grown tree. It's going to be a pretty full tree that's planted.
And I'm glad to hear there's fire suppression systems. But is there an inspection procedure, annual, or how does that
Yep.
work?
So there's a required inspection process with the batteries. We'll have to go through the fire department to be permitted. They'll also have an operating procedure that will be provided to them. They'll be trained on response. So there's a full procedure that is associated with the storage. And as you noted, there'll be a fire suppression routine test inspection.
Thank you, that's it.
Miguel?
What is this battery storage unit, or is there a central unit, or?
Yep, so it's. If you have a look on the plan set, there are two rectangles here and here. They represent the containers. For the
Is that right? Okay, all right. And how many solar panels are you gonna install?
The total number, So it's, just give me 2 seconds. It ultimately will depend on the size of panel that we select,
Very confident.
but broad strokes. It's around 11,000.
11,000.
Yep.
And what time of year do you propose to do this work?
So what would be typical is we would aim to have the project finished prior to the winter season so that we can, complete the testing. So we would generally start a project like this early summer and then work through to year end.
Okay, but I have no other questions.
Sorry, can I ask,
Bailey, go
which
ahead.
sheet has the detailed plan for the plantings?
C503 has the tree detail.
Refers to sheet
104 also has
103.
those trees.
Yes,
Okay.
there's a landscaping plan, that's C103.
It's like this. This is the typical detail for a planting. Typical. Crazy.
Yeah.
I actually have another question too, is that okay?
Okay, wait a minute. Yeah. Go back to-
Let's see the-
Maybe put C-103 up there so that everyone can see it.
Oh, that's not a different one.
103.
103.
Thank you.
These are the ones that are gonna be removed.
Right.
Arborvitae and, okay.
Low shrubbery.
Planting, arborvitae and-
That's where the,
You have a question, Bailey, did you have a question regarding this?
No, I'm good. I just wanted to make sure I knew where the which
Okay.
sheets had that detail. Thank you.
And Dean, you had a,
So I mean, this is kind of a dumb question, but the solar panels, they're connected to some sort, it must be like a main distributed trunk of conduit. Is that all buried conduit?
Yes.
Okay, is that gonna be direct buried in PVC conduit or something similar?
So it depends on the particular size of cable, but for the most part, yes.
Okay, so, and how deep, so you're gonna be excavating a significant amount along every single row of solar panels?
So what would typically happen is on the array, you'll have a trunk line with, so the beauty of these arrays is that, oh, it's disappeared. Yeah, let me,
There, you can just peel it back up.
pull it back up. All right, so the majority of the wiring will actually run along the panel system.
you want to
itself.
take a microphone, please, so
Yeah, the majority of the wiring will run along the racks themselves, and they'll be gathered in what are called combiners. And those combiners, which gather multiple rows, will then drop into a underground trench that'll come back to the central pad here. So the level of trenching we try and keep to the minimum, and most of the wiring runs along the rows themselves.
Okay, so you're not planning on generating significant material with that excavation?
No, we would not be trenching along each of these rows. Yeah.
All right, thank you. No more questions, sorry.
The house is demo. Isn't that a house right there?
yeah, there's a house
back
up
to
there.
Al. Media, were you finished?
I guess not.
Or did we
Doug, go.
start?
Doug, you in?
Is there a house there that you're gonna demo that house?
No.
No. What's that structure there on?
So this structure here is a house that'll be staying. That's actually where one of the
Okay,
school.
What's that? Okay, there's something else that.
This
yeah.
this was the old bunkhouse for the prison, and that was demolished
Oh,
many
that's-
years ago.
that's right,
This is
okay.
just dated aerial imagery.
Gotcha, okay, all right, gotcha.
They actually excavated that out, and it's been filled.
I remember that, yeah, all right, okay.
Prison
Okay.
bunkhouse?
Yeah, they used to use it.
Yes. There's a
Anything
prison
else in
farm,
media?
yeah.
Yeah, almost like.
Okay, Al?
Okay, first question I have, I've looked at many solar panels. I don't understand what you need a battery for. Why a battery, since you're supposed to be exporting the electricity these panels generate onto the grid? What's going on?
The battery is a requirement of the program, the state program.
Yeah, but what's it gonna be used for? Why do you need a battery?
Well, the battery is used to stage energy, if you like. The grid system and the state regulations are encouraging the implementation of batteries so that they can balance out the energy. The solar is obviously generating during the day, and so the utility and the state DER designed the system to encourage storage to be placed on the system.
Okay, related to that is the fact that if a house that has solar panels on the roof catches fire, the fire department won't do anything until somebody comes and shuts off the electricity on the site. So does that mean that if there's a fire in one of these batteries, that the fire department isn't gonna react because it's still hot with electricity?
Now, there'll be a fire response procedure agreed with the department, but the system itself has a fire suppression system built in. It's a requirement that we have that for this specific reason.
Okay. So then the next thing that I'm concerned about, we experienced on a couple of other solar projects. You haven't mentioned that before you start putting the solar devices in place, you're gonna have that site stabilized and vegetation growing so that when you have a rainstorm like we just had, it isn't gonna wash away all the soils that you disturbed. So I wanna make sure that we don't have, since it's on a hill, that the storms that we have aren't gonna wash out onto the streets or into other places because it wasn't stabilized. So I haven't heard anything that explains how you're gonna do that. And then you claim you're gonna be coming along to put wiring and digging more. Okay, so I want to hear some explanation of how you're going to make sure that we don't have a massive erosion problem when you have a whole bunch of disturbed soils.
Yeah, so the procedure that we mentioned in the erosion control plan is once that grading's done, the area will be seeded, but we also plan to use temporary stabilization methods, things like erosion control blankets, straw mulch, things like that, to try to hold everything in place until that seed establishes. But, you know, ultimately, the real key is getting that grass to establish as soon as possible.
Okay, I want to make sure that that's something that is going to happen, because we had bad experience already with these solar installations, and I want another one here.
Anything else, Al?
No, that's
Okay,
my big thing here.
okay. Betsy?
I think I mostly have a sort of a multi-part comment. So I think that this project is still in court as to whether it goes forward or not, but that's not my main comment. And I think that it makes sense from your point of view to get all your permits in place so you can hit the ground running in case it comes out of court favorably to you. So you are going around getting all your permits. But it's not our job as the commission to rush things through. So I wanted to reiterate that the reason that it's important that you follow our stormwater regs to the letter, including getting all the soil profiles and not taking the shortcut of looking at the soil map, for a huge project like this that clearly has a lot of public interest, although that wouldn't be our only reason for saying that. We're not trying to rush this forward. I understand that you're trying to rush it forward, probably with all the various boards you're going before, in case it comes out favorably. And that's why we need the SWEP documents. It shouldn't be after you, hopefully, I guess, from your point of view, get the court conclusion, and then rush forward with your permits, and then throw some things in that, we actually need those now. So it's gonna slow things down. I mean, the whole process is gonna be slower with us. That's my major comment.
Okay.
And the other comment I'm gonna reiterate again, because you'll be before us again, a little bit of old-fashioned pointer work, because it's not just us, it's an entire audience of people, some of whom can't see. I mean, we've got screens all over the room, but it needs to be sort of more public-friendly, I think. So someone standing next to something that people can see with a pointer, I think, is in order for this. That's all.
How many acres of wooded area are you removing?
1.5.
Total?
1.5.
1.5 acres. Okay, this is.
Yeah, you can,
substantial-
actually, this plan, that same one that's here is probably the easiest one to see it on, but we do show,
Rob, do you want to move that up in front so that,
yeah.
C-101 shows the areas that you're removing trees and.
Yeah, it's shown on a couple different plans. I just figured since C-103 is already up, you can actually see the trees on the aerial image that are planned for removal, and it's got this cross hatching on it, so the areas, like I mentioned before, are all within the limits of the field.
And that adds up to 1.5 acres.
Yeah.
You've done any calculations that show the benefit from what you lose from having the trees there and what benefit you get from having the solar field there as compensation for removal of these trees?
You mean like a carbon footprint offset? We have not, but we can do that. We can provide that.
Okay. The other thing that caught my eye some time back was that the state has indicated that there is sufficient places to put solar fields without having to areas, woodlands, fields. At that, how else you could accomplish the same thing within the agricultural county school property?
yes. So this site plan was the result of an RFP by the county back in 2017, and there were multiple sites that were looked at and proposed, rooftops, canopies. You'd be familiar with the canopy and the rooftops that we built at the agricultural school itself. And so we looked at the entire portfolio within the county land, the entire portfolio of county lands and buildings. So yes, we have.
Okay. Okay.
I might note that we have reviewed and previously presented but did not present here the carbon balance, demonstrating the equivalence between, comparing the, if you like, the carbon sequestration value of the solar panels and the tree removal, and the equivalence is in the order of magnitude of thousands of acres of carbon sequestration equivalents for the solar panels, and so significantly offsets the 1.5 acres of planting. We also committed to planting the tree screens along the perimeter, and so that is a natural offset just within the project itself.
Okay. All right. Anyone in the audience have any questions or comments? And please keep your comments or questions pertinent to the Conservation Commission issues, which is the land disturbance permit. And if you just come up to the microphone and identify yourself and also sign in.
Hi, my name is Matt Sheehan. I'm a Norfolk County resident, and I served on the board at Norfolk Aggie until December 2023. I can tell you right now, the Aggie community as a whole, majority, is against this entire project. You'll find out that these soils are known as soils of statewide importance, which means they are prime soil for growing crops, and that's a resource we should be conserving. And the Harvard Gazette on October 23rd, 2023 published an article about how we should be shifting from ground-mounted solar to using rooftops, parking lots, and brownfields whenever we can. And I can tell you right now, the county has a golf course with plenty of open space on it that they have not looked into about putting these solar panels and installing them there.
That was part of the question I asked.
Yeah, I didn't really have a question, more of a statement, but thank you guys for your time.
Okay.
And they are not being truthful about that.
Thank you. Anyone else? Yes, just come up and grab the microphone, please.
If you're speaking, if you could make sure you sign in, please, the signage. Yeah, it is.
Sorry about that.
Would you sign in, please?
I did.
Oh, you did, okay. Good, thank you.
No problem.
Just so we get your name correctly.
And if you guys have a general email, I'd like to send you the article from Harvard that came out in October.
Okay, Rudy Barajas, 1400 North Street. Can everybody hear me? I'll grab the mic for the sake of the...
That's to go to the,
That's for the TV. Okay, very good. Rudy Barajas, 1400 North Street, which is actually, you can see 1400 North Street directly across the street from the proposed solar array. It's at the corner of Skyview and North Street. Just a couple things that I wanted to point out. Let's see, this is drawing C103. I noticed that the limit of work is drawn into the tree canopy along the backside. Yes.
It's a little bit deceiving because the aerial couldn't exactly line up with the survey, but if you follow the survey plan, that really shows where the tree clearing is. The tree clearing is limited to what's inside the field.
The hatched areas, the tree clearing is limited to the hatch areas, what you're saying, and that you're saying that's only 1.5 acres, because it looks like it's more than 1.5 acres compared to the overall site. And that would be something that I would suggest that the commission look into verifying the actual limit of clearing of trees. Is it truly as stated? So having an independent review of this plan, of this set of plans to verify that, because it does look like it's more than what's been stated. Also, you have the vegetated, the vegetated barrier. Is that what you call the plantings, screening? Yeah, the screening in front.
I'm sorry to interrupt, but since now that both of their microphones are gone, can you just grab the other microphone?
Oh, they can take
So it's
mine.
recorded correctly. Thank you.
Thanks. It's not being picked up? Okay.
Doesn't really matter what.
Okay.
Just if the answers can go into my.
Is this okay? All right. Is this a push to talk? Do I need to push? Okay.
No?
All right, it's push to mute. Very good. All right. So the screening, it stops across here, and I think it's been stated because of sight lines, right? That you get to a point, I think you did some analysis about driving a vehicle up and down North Street, and because of the topography, you might not see it. But the thing is, even at the pedestrian level, it's probably not considered. This is actually, believe it or not, I've lived there for 23 years. This is a pretty heavily pedestrian trafficked area. The Boylston Schulfine, the parking goes all the way up to almost Old North Street. People are going up and down there. up and down North Street to go to Bubbling Brook Ice Cream all the time. So when you're considering screening for this array to not see any of the chain link fence, I think you're missing the boat by stopping screening going only halfway across. There's a lot of vantage points from standing on the road looking in that direction where you can actually see the base of the tree line on the backside of the field.
Excuse me, the note on the plan says tree screening to continue along the eastern fence line as required. You show it, indicate that it doesn't, and it stops here. Is your,
We completed a sightline analysis for the purpose of the site plan review. During the site plan review, we provided feedback on the angle from the street, from a vehicle and standing height, sight line over the top of the fence and over the top of the trees. And so the visual aspect of the project, as opposed to the stormwater aspect, was reviewed in that meeting, and that point corresponds with a point at which, from the road coming to the south,
okay,
you're going to be looking at the hill as opposed to the fence.
Right, and
from a standpoint of adding additional carbon sequestration, would it be a problem to continue that screening?
Well, I think the objective was the screening. From a carbon sequestration standpoint, the panels are offsetting significantly higher levels of carbon than the 1.5 acres that are being taken down.
And so, all right, are you willing to extend that line?
Well, I think that the point of that line was visual aspect as opposed to carbon sequestration. I was not anticipating that that was going to be the
Okay.
concern of the
Your answer?
stormwater
Okay.
analysis.
Any-
Yeah.
no,
Yeah,
you
so,
just wanted to clarify that. Go
perhaps
ahead.
not from a carbon sequestration or whatever you just said point of view, but for visual screening, so the public doesn't have to stare at the eyesore of a chain link fence. And to be honest with you, the chain link fence is how high?
7 feet.
7, and the panels are even higher than that, right? They're
8 feet to the top of the panel.
8 feet to the
Around
top.
about 8 feet to the
Yeah,
top of the
right.
panel.
So you're going to, so visually in this beautiful green space, you're going to see a chain link, and you're going to see a jagged metal line sticking above that chain link. The vegetation stops. There's a lot of pedestrian traffic. There's a lot of vantage points here that I don't think you've considered in this. The other thing that I brought up is that this goes downhill. It comes back up to 109. When you turn off of 109 onto North Street, that is welcome to Walpole. This is where you live. This is the beautiful place where we live. 6 months out of the year, the vegetation that's around the landscaping company and Bubbling Brook Ice Cream, it's deciduous. There's no screening. You turn the corner, and guess what you see? You see the top of this hill.
Mr.
From 109.
You get the picture, and that's, the commission can request additional. I don't think we need any more.
Okay,
on that.
that's fine. I just have one other,
Go ahead.
one
You need to
other.
address the commission.
Yes,
when you're
okay.
speaking,
Yeah,
please.
okay, thank you very much for the correction, and I will do that. So, the other thing that I would like to point out, drawing C201, that shows the topography. Can I see that, please?
You're gonna have to.
Yeah, that one there.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Okay, so this shows the grading plan, and like the gentleman from Western Sampson was saying, that this is going to be, these lines are going to be straightened out. The method of controlling the erosion, the best is to establish the vegetation, but the vegetation doesn't get established right away. The commission also brought up questions about, testing the soils and making sure that the soil characteristics are taken into consideration. So I've been involved in many construction projects, where we have to build, the detention basins at the bottom of the hill. I have seen where a side slope of a hill is stripped for construction. Yes, you have the straw wattles or whatever at the perimeter. Yes, you want to construct this basin at the bottom, but before any vegetation is established, I've actually seen in a heavy rainstorm during construction, this becomes a sheet flow, right? And there are some measures to slow it down, but it's the rains like we had in the last few days, you get a sheet flow, it overwhelms the newly constructed or the under construction basin, and you have a blowout. And you have the intermittent stream right below that. So I'm just saying to the commission, there's a potential for a lot of damage due to stormwater during the construction process here. And I know Weston Sampson's a very reputable firm, but I would ask if the commission is considering an independent or peer review of this plan.
Okay. Anything else?
That's it. Thank you very much.
Anyone else have any comments, please?
Yeah.
Microphone.
Microphone, please.
So I am Trish Barajas at 1400 North Street. I know this is not an official map. Back in 1997, when Patton Forest was established, it was noted that they partnered up with the town of Walpole and the Norfolk County to preserve, I think it was 200 and some acres. I have this map, and I'm sharing. I'm sorry, it's kind of a mess. But I know there was mention of if there was a perennial stream. So right here, and again, this is not 100% drawn to scale probably, but it comes in right at Bubbling Brook Road. So I'm not sure where this falls.
That's shown on the plan.
Right, so is this going to be where they're doing any of their stripping or plant panels?
All the work is outside
Side of
the
that?
200-foot riverfront area,
Oh,
which
okay.
means 200 feet from the boundary of the river.
Okay.
And all the wetland resource areas were delineated
Mm-hmm.
by a wetland specialist from the Norfolk County side.
Mm-hmm.
And then the commission hired a peer reviewer, a very good peer reviewer, Beta Consulting Group, who went out there
Okay.
and looked at every inch of resource area.
Okay, so this is nowhere-
Wetlands lines have been pretty well established.
Established,
and they're
okay.
working outside of
Okay,
that.
all right. Do you guys want this?
I've seen it.
Okay, you've seen it, okay, thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay. Oh, okay. Sign in, please. We're limited on pens, I'm sorry.
There's one here.
Budget constraints.
People aren't paying their fines.
My name is Chris Sapolsky. I live on North Street, down towards the center of town, the other side. The questions I have relating to the construction, you talked about concrete. You talked about bringing soil trucks in or concrete trucks in. Do you have an estimated number of how much concrete you're going to need and how many concrete trucks you're going to bring? Because you're going to bring them down North Street, 109 North Street, and you're going to go into the construction area. So that could be a fairly...
It's not a lot. I don't have a volume off the top of my head. I'm guessing 2 trucks probably.
Total?
Yeah, they're small pads.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And then the rigid inclusions, are they going to be drilled or
Drilled or driven.
Driven.
Right.
So there's gonna be noise generated during that. And you said there's 11,000 panels. How many pilings are gonna be?
I would have to look into that, to answer that. I don't have that on the top of my,
Each one of them is gonna be fairly loud when it happens.
yeah, the driving does involve some noise, but it's not, it's, we most recently did this in a schoolyard. So it was possible to do that without any disturbance to classes.
Okay, but it's gonna be summer and it's gonna be, around Bubbling Brook. Okay. Those are the questions I had.
Thank you. Anyone else? Yeah.
Conservation Commission. I got a question on all the concrete on site that's existing. You guys are gonna jack that out, take that off site, put the rubble piles?
So you can, you can speak to it from the stormwater analysis, but we'll look at the final layout of the pilings of the posts.
The foundation.
And it's not necessary for us to take out foundations that are not under a post, and in some cases we can just drill straight through it. So we would look to limit what we could, but if we had to, we would remove the existing foundations.
All right, what's the life of the solar panels?
The panels themselves.
Okay, what's the project lifespan?
So our contract with the town is a 20-year contract. The panels themselves have a warranty of 25 years, but that's at up to 85% of their generating capability. And I've just completed a project on a system that's been in place for over 40 years. So the level of degradation of the panel performance is very slight over 25 years. So there's no expectation that, with every expectation that the panels themselves would be still generating healthily at the end of the 25-year term.
Is there an end-of-life plan?
Yes, there's a decommissioning assurance that's in place as part of our commitment to the county, and so that'll be in place, and it would be removal of the racking system. And one of the reasons that this type of system as a land use is preferable is because it's minimal impact, low impact during operation, and can be removed.
So theoretically, it could be returned to a farm?
That's absolutely the expectation, and that's the approach that's taken on projects on agricultural land. It's a preservation technique where other development may look to eliminate the open space.
Thank you. No more questions.
Anyone in the audience have any more comments, questions?
Am I allowed to ask one more?
You may. Please, again, come up and identify yourself again, please. You signed in.
Yes, I signed in. Matt Sheehan, I'm a Norfolk County resident, and I was just curious. So if the county government were to be abolished, who would end up taking over these solar panels? Would it be the town of Walpole, or would it be the state? Because it kind of goes governor to governor, county government. There's been county governments all throughout the state that have been abolished. So that's a question that I have.
We have the Kearsarge continues to own the project, and we have a lease agreement with the county for the term of the project life.
So if they don't exist, who takes that over?
The body that would be stepping into the county role would be stepping into the lease.
Okay.
It's
20 years and then renewable to 40.
It's 20 years with, and I would have to check, but I believe three option periods, yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
because you said 25 earlier.
Sorry, I misspoke, 20 years with option periods.
Okay.
25 was the life of the panels, Matt. I was saying the warranty on the panels was for 25 years, the lease is for 20 with option periods.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. So we need to continue the hearing. We get some response and the information is the SWIFT and also on the, what was this, for the soil testing?
Right, so
Yeah.
we really need the soil testing at the site of the infiltration systems. And I said we had a great record with having that as a continued condition, because then it's kind of, you have to redesign and it's not under the commission, and again, so it's better to just do the tests. The information has been there all along.
We'll get that
So
done.
we want people to follow it. and the town engineer also agrees. The only other thing is, you are right at the edge of the 100-foot buffer zone in the riverfront area, so, and if you're gonna put in compost socks, which we've already discussed, but I would recommend perhaps to have the orange construction fence along the line of the resource areas, just so it's more of a visual. The compost socks are low and
Right.
and they're not always seen by construction vehicles.
We always mark the limit of disturbance, so we'll absolutely do that.
Yeah, so if you do that mesh orange construction
Before
fence.
anything's done on site, we'll be marking that out very
And if you want
clearly.
to put that on the notes as well. And I would just say, I read over the construction notes, and you do have very good notes for stabilizing those slopes, immediately stabilizing those slopes with mulch or with mesh or something like that. And it's all there. It's very detailed.
Just to clarify, Landis, are you looking for the orange construction fence on the limit of work or on the buffer zone line?
The limit of work.
Limit of work.
The limit of work
Got it.
line looks like it runs along the 200-foot riverfront area in the buffer zone, just so you absolutely don't go in that area with the construction.
That makes sense.
Vehicles.
Yep.
And then I would just encourage you to talk to engineering department about making an appointment with them to do those test pits.
Did he have any other comments besides test pits? I know he reviewed it during the planning board approval, so, okay.
Right, so the town engineer, Carl Baldoff, didn't review the project because he's on the Norfolk,
Right.
some kind of committee, but his assistant, Chris Johnson did, and he did, right, his comments is just, a minimum of 2 test pit excavations shall be witnessed by the engineering department in the bottom of the proposed infiltration basin to confirm both the high groundwater elevation and the assumed soil type.
Got it. Thank you.
And timing-wise, how much time do you need to,
I'm hoping, weather permitting, that we can get out there within the coming 2 weeks or months. I mean, I don't
next-
think we'd be ready for the next meeting.
okay, sorry, look. Find the right
So
thing.
unfortunately, the next meeting-
Is, we have February 14th
Yeah.
to February 28th, so February 14th, you're saying is too tight for you to make,
Oh, the 14th is the next meeting.
So the next meeting is January
January.
24th.
January.
oh,
Oh,
January
yeah,
24th.
okay, yeah, no, we,
Next
Sorry,
meeting
this is
after
10th.
that, the first meeting in February
the
is
14th.
February 14th. So if you
Yeah,
have
can-
any plans for that
Make that-
day.
yeah.
Oh, is that Valentine's Day?
We sure will.
with you guys.
They have to be here.
Yeah, if we can go on the
Free treats.
14th, and then, Landis, I'd just be in touch with you if for some reason we got, 2 feet of snow and
Just
things were delayed.
continue it if you don't think you're.
Do we have anything on for the 14th?
No, we don't. We can put
Okay.
them on at
So
7.
we
I thought we
can,
Oh, we do?
We just put something on.
no,
Oh, we do, November,
Was that the
North
14th?
Street,
oh, no, it's
which
Oh, did-
they keep on continuing.
did
The
we
other
lose?
North Street.
Yeah, make it 7:05. On February 14th, someone make that a motion?
Does she have
So
a question?
moved.
I do have a question.
Oh,
Can
yeah.
I just ask one quick question?
Just sign in and identify yourself, please.
Sue Shockett, 1340 North Street. Mr. Barajas had recommended a peer review, and I don't know, did anybody address, is that an option? I mean, that is sort of standard practice, isn't it?
We had a
No.
peer review on the wetland delineation, and their proposal includes stabilizing those, the bank areas on that with, in there, I think, as you do it, you've got something going on, depending upon when it is and weather conditions, et cetera. But they are prepared to keep that bank stabilized.
Okay, so there's no additional peer
No,
review?
we don't need a peer review for that.
Mr. Chair, if I could just add one thing. Just so you're aware, the town's engineering department did review the plans during the planning board process, and we've addressed their comments.
Okay, so we need a motion to continue the hearing till 7:05 on February 14th.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. 700. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And we do have more business, so if you want to have conversations, if you could take it out in the hall, we really appreciate it.
We still have Zoom. Right in here. I don't know if you want this article that he was referring.
Yeah, I thought they gave up on this one.
Some effort, just because if you see
Should
what's
say
with
that.
the-
It should never say.
Thank you, thanks for coming by.
Yeah, yeah.
Landis, you want this for the file, that article he referred to?
I don't think they're gonna cut trees
What about the,
Probably a lot more tree cutting.
they recommend not cutting down trees, but putting it over parking lots and roadways,
Hope not.
buildings and whatever.
Brownfield,
11,000 panels don't go up in smoke.
Yeah, I think that's been
Toxic
the
waste
typical
sites.
place, yeah.
one at the end of Industrial Road is a great example. Or
To
bird
me,
machine.
makes sense.
Bird machine.
Yep.
panels. Thanks. Have a good night. Thank you.
Where are we?
Al.
They use batteries because a peak load.
Finish this.
So,
Okay.
So the peak demand loads don't match the generation loads. So they store electricity, so when the peak comes up, they pull from the batteries, and it decreases the
I
demand. of
understand
electricity.
that,
What?
but I haven't seen that proposal before.
I work for the Eversource, so I know.
Okay, leave us continue.
that would be my fault. Folks,
All right,
Okay.
so we have minutes, eh?
All right, all right.
So
We
wanna
need to continue. Okay, thank you.
Good night.
We've got minutes
go home.
from,
It's after 9. I'm starving.
we got minutes.
Eating Cheetos for crying out loud.
You get minutes?
Well, we got them online. Oh, no, wait a minute, here.
September
No, no,
27th?
here we go, here we go. Here's our
Oh, here, I
minutes.
got 27.
Here's our
Okay.
2 minutes.
Okay, well, they were, must've been in the package here, I hadn't seen them. Okay,
Noise control.
minutes from September 27th.
You are savage.
Let's chance to look at these.
I took a.
Talking about minutes.
I moved to approve minutes. I read them.
Any comments? Minutes from September 27th.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
I got a question.
What?
In the packet, those minutes say they've been approved.
Minutes approved. Yeah, no.
they're not, but they're going.
Oh, it's for, it's for approval.
For approval.
Oh, they are, okay, now they say it says approved.
It's correct.
Okay. Okay, so those were okay, and everybody, we voted?
We just did.
Yes.
Yep.
All in favor?
Zero? Okay.
December 13th is next.
Now, December 13th. We'll make a motion on those.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, 700, everybody was here.
approved.
It's technology.
It's amazing.
Paper hurt us.
It's unreal.
You can conserve paper, right?
Yeah,
Good.
pioneering a new age.
Okay, that's it. Do we have anything for Landis? We got any, okay, no certificates?
Nope.
Extensions?
Extensions.
All right, so I guess we need to extend the order of conditions for the Turner Pond
Yep.
vegetative management. Someone make that a motion?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Abstain, 700. We got something to sign for that, John?
You do, 1 second.
And then we've got Clark's
And then we
Pond.
have Clark's Pond Vegetation Management. Someone want to move that?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed, abstained, 700. Order conditions for Ross Common.
Right.
That's. What was that? That would be, what are we doing now? We doing 12 or 18 months on the extension?
So, you're on Ross Commons?
Ross Common.
Right, so Ross Commons, Strong Point Engineering, Eric Diaz has requested an extension to the Ross Commons Order of Conditions. They just have a little work to do, so they need an extended time, not a lot of work. I did go out there today, it looked actually pretty good. They didn't request any particular time, but I think that's.
Give them 12 months. We're not extending it anymore. We were
Yeah, I think,
extending it.
oh no, 1 year, minimum 1
Yeah.
year, yeah, you could extend it for 1 year.
So someone make a motion to extend that for 12 months for Ross
So
Common?
moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
700.
Okay, so you did the other two, wow, you guys are
Yeah.
moving along.
We're ahead. We did next meetings already.
Yeah.
So nobody has to come next meeting. We're all done. Okay.
You wanna
And what
tell-
else do we have to vote on? Anything here?
No, we're discussing enforcement orders.
Okay. Anything we need to do anything new on these enforcement orders?
There's nothing new on the enforcement orders.
The tree cutting is not new?
Is it So I thought we still had that on last, anyway, 1029 Washington Street, the Terrans, they had cut 3 trees on the edge of the wetlands, and I went out there and told them that they really couldn't do that, and they're going to be planting some replacement trees or shrubs in the spring.
Okay.
And it seems to be coming up more often with these tree cuttings, which I guess I understand because of all the wind and the rain and stuff we have. I've been getting more and more requests for tree cutting. So that's
Okay.
why.
Like for you to review cutting
Did
trees?
you, did you come up with the items that you wanted to do
Not-
to
not
revise
yet.
that for?
Jack, we have more to
conservation?
sign.
Oh, we got another one? What's this one for?
But I have, basically what I tell people is that they need to, again, have an arborist come out and look at the tree and have a reason why the tree needs to come down. And sometimes it might just be topping the tree, so it's lower and it's not gonna damage anything, if there's a good reason to take it out to plant. 'Cause it seems like if every person that wants to take trees down, if you want them to come before the commission, that's a little.
No, that's not reasonable. It's a lot of them, they should come down because they're
Right, I agree.
they're
So-
threatening something,
Yeah,
people or,
right, if it's
property.
usually like 1, 2, 3,
yeah.
if it gets more than that, then I usually tell them they really need to come talk to you guys. I don't wanna make the decision.
All right, under the general business, we had North Street, anything new on that? We're just waiting.
So, this all kind of came together quickly, that, was it before the holiday, I think it was before the holiday, I can't remember now, that I went out there with Jim Johnson and some other department heads, and we walked out through the North Street property and out onto Peninsula. Jim Johnson, Chris Johnson, and Carl Baldoff all came with me all the way out, and found it to be very enjoyable. So, still waiting on the next steps as far as they're concerned. I did touch base with Rick Mattson about if it was still on the schedule for the town to do the work this winter, and he indicated it was, so they're just sort of waiting for some drier weather. The other step that we have to arrange is to have a conversation with Neponset Land Holdings and Ian Cook to just go over what the improvements on their land on the public access easement would be allowed, what would be allowed.
Does the work include removing that junk furniture that's out there on the peninsula?
Ian said that they would do that.
Who did?
Didn't you talk to Ian about that? That furniture that's out there? Yeah, you thought you talked to him. He said they would
Oh,
remove it?
I don't remember that, but it's, yeah, I agree, it needs to be
There's,
removed. But it's their property.
Out of,
Not sure how you would remove
out
it.
of use recliner.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I've seen it.
You wouldn't want to try it.
It's been there for a couple of years
Yeah.
Sure
at
it
least.
has.
I don't know how it got there. I mean, it took a lot of effort to get it there.
Probably across the ice,
Oh,
It's possible.
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Pond used to
or by one of
freeze.
the larger boats that are allowed.
Someone asked me when at the point where we're gonna come down to the pond, what we plan to have. And I said, well, probably some form of a dock, so you could get out, and it was suggested, maybe we don't want one. Just have a clearing, and if you come up with your kayak or canoe or whatever, you just jump out onto the land. So just something to think about. We don't have to decide anything now, but just something to ponder whether I thought some form of a flat dock would be helpful, but someone said maybe not. So think
Yeah,
about it.
the tough part of a dock is it needs to be removed before the ice comes in. Otherwise, the ice shifting around
Yeah.
can break it
Yeah.
loose and it ends up blocking the spillway.
Yeah. No, that's true.
What ice?
Other-
Does everybody do that though?
We had ice.
Yeah, good
just
point.
before the rain came yesterday.
You
Yeah,
did?
and it-
Yeah. That's why they put, we're supposed to have names on the dock.
Yeah.
The
To
property
identify
owners,
who's-
the dock owner is supposed to have their name on it.
Right.
So, okay.
Do they know?
They put numbers on it. It's like a license number that goes
Oh,
on each
okay.
dock.
What else was on there? Okay, nothing new on the other.
No, nothing new on the other.
Pond, that's Willett Pond, that's all the same thing at this point. All right, and appeals, anything we went over,
So we
nothing
went over
new on the
deals
others?
with the town council. And right, so the only other thing is correspondence, the Siemens submitted their annual stormwater maintenance report, and then we got a report from for the Bird landfill site.
Where is that?
That is
It's off,
off of
Norfolk Street.
Remnar.
off Norfolk Street, there's a street that comes off Norfolk.
It's like southwest Walpole?
No, center, west-ish to center-ish, yeah,
You know where Norfolk Street is?
West. west.
If you go all the way down West Street, you hit Norfolk, and if you keep on going, that's Remnar, and then there's a road out, you access it at the end of Remnar. So it's an old bird landfill that they capped, and then they put solar panels on
solar
it.
panels on
It
it.
has solar panels on it. So they're still monitoring the groundwater
Forever.
forever, yeah. There's a couple of sites in town where they're monitoring groundwater.
I think some of them have the name Bird on them.
A lot of them have named
Oh,
bird-
no way!
Right.
Okay,
And two of them, two of the bird sites that they're monitoring have solar panels on them.
Yeah,
Hey, well, they better than just being bare earth.
yeah.
Right, it's a good site for them. 3 other sites we have solar panels at the end of Industrial Road and
Yeah.
Bird Machine and Bird
So those
Landfill.
are all good places.
yeah.
Those are all very contaminated spots on the earth.
Yeah. So we have an executive session,
Are we done with everything else?
maybe,
Having another executive session?
yeah.
Okay,
Hopefully a quick
someone,
one.
We,
Talk about you.
we close the meeting?
That's gonna be a lengthy one.
To say we have executive session.
Yeah, I think that you would state you're going into executive session to discuss information that at a regular public hearing would be
Detrimental?
detrimental to
Adjudicatory
discussion.
hearings? Yeah.
And then after the executive hearing, you will close the meeting.
So he's done for the night,
He's done.
that's what I'm saying.
Want to close the meeting first?
He will be done for the night.
The meeting will be closed at the end of the exec session.
All right.
as long as-
So,
to public session for the purpose of closing the meeting.
Okay,
There you go.
sure.
so, but you can,
And I'll turn off once you go into executive session.
yeah. Okay, so we're going to go into an executive session to discuss a potential land purchase, and that will be when we come out of executive session, the meeting will be finished for this evening. So the public portion of, from Walpole Media will be ended now.